What's up, guys? I want to talk about something that was kind of announced a couple weeks ago. It's kind of old news. The fact that we're getting a new Dragon Ball animated TV series. Now, if there's anything I love more than Smash Brothers, it's probably Dragon Ball Z. I was first introduced to DBZ like way back in the day on Cartoon Network Toonami days. Coming home from school, trying to look for something to watch, scrolling through the TV channels, and then just seeing this guy with yellow spiky hair, a sword, fighting an alien dude who's like half metal, half alien dude, and just cutting him the heck in half. Just right down the middle in half. That was my introduction to DBZ. Obviously we know that was Trunks when he defeated Frieza. Nonetheless, it was freaking badass to see that on TV as a kid. And ever since that moment, I've been hooked on this anime. This is probably the only anime I've ever watched, but the story, the characters, the action is just all top notch. It's like one of the best animes ever. And if you haven't heard about DBZ or if you haven't seen a DBZ meme, like, you gotta check out this show. This show is action packed. It is one of the best. So this new Dragon Ball TV series is from creator Akira Toriyama, the series creator of the show, and it's coming to Japanese television in July. There's not been an announcement of an English version, but regardless if there is or not, you know there's going to be someone who's going to dub this show in English with subtitles. So with this news comes the obvious question. What is this new TV series going to be about? We have some info that this TV series is being taken place after the Majin Buu saga. The Buu saga is pretty much the last saga took place in Dragon Ball Z. We have Dragon Ball, which was like Goku's like childhood days, and we have Dragon Ball Z, which is pretty much like the known Dragon Ball anime. And then we have GT. So this is pretty much continuing from where DBZ left off. So this does bring up some questions about GT. GT was something that was, I guess you could say, known by fans, not as much praised by fans. Mostly because Toriyama, the series creator, was not too involved in the series. And personally, the series was just okay. I didn't mind the villains too much. The villains were kind of memorable. They were menacing and very powerful, but they were just not as well developed as something like Cell or Frieza. Even Buu. Buu didn't have that much of a personality in the beginning, but they kind of made him more menacing with every transformation, and that's kind of why we liked them so much. We have Baby from GT, which was just kind of someone who wanted revenge on the Saiyans. It was okay. His motives were obviously there, and you can kind of tell why he'd be so pissed, but it was just kind of like played off more like a baby, no pun intended. Super 17 was just kind of like a super buff version of Android 17. Nothing really much more to him. And then at the end of GT, we have the Shadow Dragons. Now, the Shadow Dragons were kind of interesting. It was kind of an interesting twist with the story, that the fact that we're using the Dragon Ball so much that, you know, the evil dragons would manifest because of it. So that was kind of a good twist, I thought, with the story. Like, you're kind of watching the whole series, and you're not really thinking that, oh, you guys are kind of, you know, abusing the Dragon Balls too much, aren't you? But you don't really think about it until they have to fight all these dragons because of their selfless wishes, even though. So the villains were okay in GT. The story just kind of focused on Goku a little bit too much for my liking. Goku was the only one who pretty much did all the fighting. We would have Vegeta. Vegeta was kind of thrown into that tier of, like, you know, Yamcha and Tien, where they were just kind of useless. Like, all the other Saiyans were. Like, Goten, even Gohan was just kind of thrown in that tier where you guys are, you know, you have families, you haven't been training so long, you're kind of useless now. They were just kind of there to show how powerful the villain was. And of course we want to see Goku, you know, be the hero, but if you watch Dragon Ball Z, everyone has their moment in the spotlight. Even in the Buu saga, where that was the point where the villains were so strong that only really the Saiyans could do anything about it. And I feel like that was missing from GT. Also the fact that, why is Goku a kid? I get why he was a kid. He was wished to be a kid so he'd be weaker. But it was just such a dumb idea, I think. Like, we all wanted to see him as his prime, as an adult. Obviously we saw him as an adult with his Super Saiyan 4 transformation, but just having him as a kid just made him seem whiny and just kind of annoying in my opinion as a kid. He really only got serious when he was confronted with the villain, and that's kind of what we want to see from Goku. So I guess that's kind of why GT's not too well liked by fans. It's just kind of forgettable. There's no moments like there were in Dragon Ball Z. There are so many great moments in Dragon Ball Z that GT kind of lacked. But this also brings up with the question about the Super Saiyan 4 transformation. So if this series is continuing after the Buu saga, Super Saiyan 4 is not a known thing yet. So are they going, obviously there's going to be more transformations. Obviously there's going to be a Super Saiyan 4 transformation if they decide to go down that path, but would they still use the same transformation and the same look, or the kind of like the monkey look with the tail and everything, the black hair, get rid of the gold? Would they still use that look, or are we going to see a completely new Super Saiyan 4 transformation? Now, I like the look of the Super Saiyan 4 transformation. I thought it was kind of cool, but I thought it was a little weird that they kind of got rid of the whole gold hair transformation look. We have a gold haired Saiyan through 1, through 2, through 3, and each of them looked more and more different. So we went to having gold hair, to having gold hair with sparks all around them, to having crazy long gold hair with no eyebrows. And then we went to their black hair to like fur with a tail. So it's kind of a weird transition there. I wouldn't mind if they continued to stay down the gold hair path. I would like to see like maybe an interpretation of Super Saiyan 4 with gold hair, just to keep it consistent. That's just my personal opinion. I would like to see him consistently evolve the whole golden hair Saiyan ideal for transformation. This also brings some questions about how long is this new series going to play out? Is it going to be another 3-part? I don't remember Dragon Ball too much, but I know DBZ was essentially 3 seasons long with 3 different villains, and GT was the same way. So are they going to go down the route of another 3 villains? So obviously, if, let's just say, for the point of conversation, that this is going to be another 3-part series, another 3-season series with 3 different villains, and I guess you can obviously say 3 different kinds of transformations, brand new transformations. So let's start with the transformations. So if this is going to continue after Buu, what happened after Buu? Everyone is pretty much at their prime. You have the lesser known characters like Yamcha and Tien. They're kind of done with fighting because obviously they're too weak to continue. But we have Gohan, who is Ultimate Gohan, reaches his full potential. He's actually powerful again. He's not a wimp like he was in the beginning of the Buu saga. We have Goten and Trunks, who learned fusion and like our Super Saiyan 3 fused. We have Goku, who's reached Super Saiyan 3. Goku was given a life, so he's alive now. We have the fat Majin Buu, who's good. And then we have Vegeta. I feel like more out of anybody, Vegeta has to evolve more. What I mean by that is, at the end of the Buu saga, he was kind of weak. He was brought back to life. I don't think he was able to reach Super Saiyan 2 on his own because of the Majin transformation. So on his own, he was pretty much a Super Saiyan, and he never reached Super Saiyan 3. I think out of anything, as far as transformations go, we have to see Vegeta at least a Super Saiyan 3. Goku's alive now, Vegeta's alive now. It just makes so much sense that Goku would train Vegeta. Their rivalry is kind of over. I think it's very obvious that Vegeta would definitely ascend past that level of Saiyan. We have Gohan, who's reached his full potential. He's not able to transform into a Super Saiyan, but he is super powerful now. And I hope they continue that. Obviously, he's with Videl at the end of the Buu saga. So hopefully they keep him on track of training and not make him lazy again, like they did at the end of the Cell saga. And then we have Goten and Trunks, who've mastered the art of fusion. And I think fusion is going to play a huge role in this new series. The idea of fusing two people together to form like a super being is something that I feel like most of the cast should learn. So we should definitely see like a Tien Yamcha fusion. We should definitely see more Goku Vegeta fusion. We should definitely see, you know, Piccolo fuse with someone or Gohan fuse with someone. I feel like it's going to be something that they're going to push to the next level because fusion was huge in the Buu saga. And then we have Goku, of course. Goku's alive now, he's reached Super Saiyan 3, and it's just pretty much safe to say that he's going to continue training as he always has. He actually ran off with Oob at the end of that. So if they are going to ignore GT, and we're going to say they're going to ignore GT just for sake of conversation, he trains with Oob and he comes back somehow with Oob, and I think Oob's going to play a good role in this new series. So however long or how many years it's been since, you know, the time of the end of the Buu saga to this new series, you know, Oob is going to be grown up, he's going to be super strong, Goku's probably going to reach Super Saiyan 4, who knows. So could it be that we're going to see in this 3-part series, let's say, a Super Saiyan 4, a 5, a 6 perhaps? Would they continue down that path? I actually wouldn't mind it, as long as they keep consistent with the gold hair, kind of evolve on the gold hair look, then I'm fine with it. Call the Super Saiyan 6 for all I care, it really doesn't matter. Just make it interesting. They were able to make like every Super Saiyan transformation very interesting. You know, Super Saiyan 1 was something very mysterious when we first saw it, and we learned that you achieve it through a need, not a desire. We learned that Super Saiyan 2 was achieved the first time through Gohan letting his ultimate power out. So, and it was much more visual than Super Saiyan 1, with all the sparks coming out. And then we have Super Saiyan 3, which looked kind of cool, and was really a big blow to your body. Every time Goku was alive and he did it, you know, he would be pretty weak by the end of one fight. So let's move on to what the villains will be like in this new series. So I think they pretty much tied every loose end in Z. Can't think of any, you know, loose ends that could go back to villains for. They pretty much, you know, tied everything in. So if we're gonna get, let's say we're gonna get 3 other villains, what could they be? If you look at Z's history, you see how like each villain was a new evolution of the last. So Frieza was a very powerful being, couldn't regenerate, who was just very powerful. He had different transformations, obviously, for his, you know, evolution. And then we see Cell, who pretty much took everything from Frieza. Well, he was part Frieza. You know, he had transformations through different means, through absorption, and he was able to regenerate. So he's much, much harder to kill. So he kind of evolved from what Frieza was. And then we have Buu, who took everything Frieza and Cell were and took it to the next level through transformations, through absorption, but threw in the twist that the absorptions made him weaker. So his final form was his most powerful. So I think it's pretty safe to say that these new villains, or this new villain, whatever they decide to do, is going to be able to regenerate, have multiple level transformations, at the very least, and of course regeneration, because at this point they're so powerful that one blow could like shoot their head off, so they'd have to be able to regenerate in some way, make it more difficult to kill. So since fusion was such a big thing in the Buu saga, I would like to see for the villains, obviously a villain that is, you know, fleshed out, but maybe throw in the idea of some kind of fusion for the villains. You know, the heroes are able to fuse, so maybe some kind of, maybe not through like a fusion dance, but some kind of, you know, evil magic or something that makes like maybe these 2 villains that they introduce be able to fuse into one some way, somehow, to make that more interesting. So with Toriyama involved again, I have no doubt in my mind that he will flesh out these brand new villains in ways that we are going to be so surprised. You know, who knows, he might even tie in something from the past. Hopefully nothing where like it's something like, oh, Frieza's back or Cell's back or something like that. But hopefully something they, you he takes something from the past of Dragon Ball Z or even Dragon Ball and kind of implements it into this new series where we're like, wow, that totally makes sense. So I guess you could say I'm pretty excited that Dragon Ball is coming back to TV. I could say thanks to the continued support of the fans and the success of the movies, the Battle of Gods and now Resurrection of F coming out, that Dragon Ball's popularity is like at an all-time high, and this TV series is just going to push it through the roof. I also had a chance to check out Battle of Gods. So I guess spoilers if you haven't seen Battle of Gods yet, but Battle of Gods show a lot of potential for these new series, with a lot of potential and a lot of things that I'm kind of concerned about. So if you watch Battle of Gods, you can see that there's a lot more 3D based animation. It's like a 3D, 2D kind of hybrid with the fights. So obviously Goku and I forget the guy's name, Beerus. Let's go with Beerus. Are fighting, and you kind of see everything collapsing around them in like a 3D kind of look. It looks really good for DBZ. So we can definitely expect like 3D style like fights, which is pretty exciting. But then the God forms kind of get me nervous if they're going to implement that with the new series, because personally I think the God form is kind of lame. So what I got from it is you get into God form by having four or five Saiyans around you, and they just kind of hold hands and give the one Saiyan the God power, and that's kind of it, sorta. And it's not exactly long lasting. It just kind of stays with you for a little bit, and that was kind of disappointing. And your hair turns red. It's like, okay, all right, sure, I'll go with that. That's a very movie thing to do for Dragon Ball Z, and I kind of hope they don't do anything with God mode in this new series. I hope they kind of keep it like a Super Saiyan transformation. But so right now, Dragon Ball Super is a huge question mark as to what it's going to be, but Toriyama is calling it the stuff of dreams and telling fans that might be seeing Goku and Pal take on an enemy even stronger than Buu or the ever popular Frieza. Mind blown. Regardless of what the series turns out to be, it's going to be pretty cool to see Dragon Ball back on TV. So if you guys have any thoughts on this topic, please let me know. I'd love to hear about it. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace out.